After several months of political struggle between the British government, led by Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, and the Argentinian government, led by President Galtieri ordered the attack on the islands. This attack was to be led by the Admiral Jorge Amaya, which planned the whole attack and how the defense of the islands would be maintained. The attack took place the 2nd of April of 1982. During an amphibious attack, Argentina managed to take control of the South Georgia Islands and the Falkland Islands. The reason they attacked the islands was they would never guess that England would have any kind of military retaliation against Argentina. However, little did they know, England had discovered some oil wells off the coast of the Falkland Islands, which represented a huge economical resource for the country. For this reason, England sent its army and its navy to fight the islands of, to fight for control of the islands, and it resulted in a huge loss for the Argentinian military. It became the only external conflict Argentina has fought, and they lost the war. They, over the course of 74 days, they lost 650 men, and the British soldiers only lost 255 men. Even though this is a great number, it is significantly less than the Argentinian losses, and this is due to the fact that the British were better trained and they had much better equipment. Even though the fighting in the ground was not going very well, the the aerial warfare was a complete different story. The Argentinian military or military air force had very technologically obsolete aircraft, such as the A-4 Skyhawk, a US fighter built in the 1960s to fight in Vietnam, a Canberra bomber built around 1950s in England, a Pucará aircraft built in Argentina designed to fight guerrilla warfare, meaning it was not originally designed to be a dogfighter, which means it's a term given to aircraft, military aircraft that are able to fight one another military aircraft. The they also have the Mirage 5, more technologically advanced aircraft. However, all of these aircraft were no match to the Sea Harrier and the Harrier jet. These were the newest military aircraft in at that time. They were the most advanced, and they added to the fact that they had obsolete aircraft. They also had obsolete weapons technology. They had the Exocet missile, which was a French-made missile. It was originally designed to be a ground to air missile. However, the Argentinian engineers managed to reuse it or repurpose it and turned it into an air to air missile and to a air to ground missile. The difference between a ground to air missile and an air to ground missile is that generally the ground to air missiles, which are designed to take off other aircraft, they rely on a very big radar which can detail exactly the position of the aircraft, given that they don't have the ability to maneuver very well, and they don't have a very good lock-on system. This is why many times when the fighters sh- uh, sent off a missile to hit another aircraft, the Sea Harrier or the Harrier could easily evade it. And one of the main reasons why the Air Force didn't engage in combat with the Harriers was because of this, and instead they use this missile to damage ships, and they managed to discover the true potential of the Exocet missile, given that they managed to destroy 8 ships, severely damage 7, and damage 5. And this turns into the story of my father's best friend in his military school in Argentina when he was a young boy. His name was Omar Castillo. He was a captain of the Argentinian Air Force. He flew an A4, the military jet of built in the USA, and the 30th of May 1982, he set out to attack the British aircraft carrier HMS Invincible, and he managed to severely damage the ship with his Exocet missiles. Unfortunately, after he deployed his missiles and started to break off and head towards Argentinian land, he was shot down by the Invincible, and he lost his life when he crash landed into the sea. Finally, after 74 days of military struggle with the British military forces, Argentinian government surrendered to the British government and started a peace treaty, so the Argentinian military forces will retreat from the islands. And this war left a very important message on Argentinian society, and it is that it showed them how terribly unnecessary a war is, that no matter what the problem is, the answer could never be going to war, that it should always be trying to have diplomatic talks and conversations, and only use war as a final resource, and try everything you can not to go to war, given that this war was truly horrible and truly a traumatic experience for not only for the soldiers who were fighting there, but also for the families that were back in Argentina, and including my own family. I have an uncle who was sent off to fight during the war, and even though he wasn't killed or injured, he really was scarred by this traumatic experience. He saw his friends being killed, his co-workers being fatally wounded, and as a doctor, he knew he couldn't do anything to save his life. So it is very important to remember that war can never be the answer to things. That you should always try to think and talk things out to resolve them. This research really showed me that how through determination and persevering things can be achieved. Argentinian military forces and air force were greatly technologically outmatched. They were very unprepared for this war, and even though they knew they had no chance against uh, the British forces, it showed me that no matter what you do, if you persevere, you can win or you can achieve your goal, even though it is trying to fight someone with a knife when he has a gun.